We have to fight bigotry, intolerance, and hatred in all of its very ugly forms. The anti-Semitic threats targeting our Jewish community and community centers are horrible and are painful and a very sad reminder of the work that still must be done to root out hate and prejudice and evil.
President Trump condemning these attacks in a speech earlier. Jewish community centers across the country receiving a fourth wave of bomb threats and what has become a disturbing trend in 2017. But before his comments today, CNN and the mainstream media said he wasn't doing enough to show his disapproval of these threats.
The White House is now condemning the bomb threats. This after President Trump twice last week danced around questions about anti-Semitism. The statement does not actually mention Jews, something the White House was also criticized for after a statement put out on Holocaust Remembrance Day.
He hasn't tweeted about this with the ordinary vigor that the president usually brings to things he doesn't like. This is in no way meant as a suggestion that the president is somehow okay with this. He's never said anything like that. But it's what he doesn't say.
Why hasn't President Trump spoken out more vociferously against the wave of anti-Semitism that we're seeing?
Joining me now, MRC TV managing editor Brittany Hughes. This fascinates me that we're even having this discussion, to be honest with you. But CNN is saying that they're not accusing President Trump of anti-Semitism. But isn't that the only answer to every single question that we just heard from all of their anchors?
Well, yes. I mean, when you talk about why he hasn't tweeted this more vigorously or whatever, I mean, what other suggestion are you making other than to tacitly suggest that the president is, in fact, anti-Semitic? I mean, this is a new low for the liberal media, including CNN. At this point, they might as well just admit that President Trump can't scratch his nose wrong or can't scratch his nose without doing it wrong. This is absolutely ridiculous. It borders on slanderous, frankly, to suggest that he's anti-Semitic simply because he didn't tweet about something like this. It's incredibly hypocritical. And it kind of makes you wonder, is there nothing else in the news to report than whether or not Donald Trump tweeted about bomb threats against Jewish community centers enough to satisfy the liberal media? It also raises the question, how many times could he have tweeted that would have been enough? He can't do anything right at this point.
Well, I mean, and then you add in this, Hillary Clinton joined the attacks against him. She tweeted this today on the Jewish Community Center threat, saying everyone must speak out, starting with President Trump. I mean, Hillary, I mean, has everyone forgotten that his daughter converted to Judaism and his son-in-law is Jewish and his grandchildren are Jewish? I mean, I think this is all just, forgotten facts by the liberal media.
Well, they absolutely are. It's also forgotten that Hillary Clinton took gobs and gobs of cash from countries that are extraordinarily anti-Semitic, do not like the Jews whatsoever, and for that matter, stone gay people. So it's interesting the things that the liberal media will focus on when they don't like somebody and completely ignore when they do. Donald Trump has a history in both the campaign and in the very short time that he has been in office of being a strong supporter of Israel. I mean, Netanyahu even said that he knows that there is no stronger ally of Israel than President Trump in the United States. So to suggest that Donald Trump is anti-Semitic, which is exactly what this is, make no mistake, this is a suggestion that he is anti-Semitic because he didn't tweet about it soon enough or because he didn't call attention to it soon enough, 32, 33 days in office at this point, is... there are almost no words for how low this is at this point. It's a witch hunt to go after anything and everything that they can possibly say is wrong. And you're talking about a liberal media that defended a President Obama who spent the last 8 years being an apologist almost for radical Islamic terrorism to the point where he couldn't even say the word. And the liberal media defended him over 8 years. And now Donald Trump isn't tweeting that anti-Semitism is alive and well, and suddenly that makes him anti-Jewish. It's ridiculous.
Right. And I'm glad you brought up that back and forth with Bibi Netanyahu as well. And I'm curious why the media isn't focusing on the perpetrator of the crime, those that are attacking Jewish cemeteries and community centers, rather than President Trump's response to the crime. I mean, are they doing the same thing with Russia, do you think, focusing on kind of the wrong thing here with regards to, the Russians may be some bad actors, but let's attack Donald Trump over it?
the liberal media is focusing on one thing and one thing only at this point, and that is taking down Donald Trump and his administration and going after anything that they can possibly get their hands on that they think might put him and his administration in a bad light. That's exactly what they're doing. Back in early February, we at MRC TV even reported this. This is common knowledge. Jewish community centers had received 57 bomb threats at that time from anonymous phone calls. Now, you didn't hear that on your nightly news because they were too busy that weekend focusing on Trump's so-called Muslim ban, which turned out to not be a ban at all, and all of the protesters that were flooding airports because they thought that Donald Trump was somehow banning Muslims from coming into this country, which ended up being completely true and completely untrue and false. You know, and so that's what they were focused on that weekend. They were not focused on the third wave in a month of bomb threats against Jewish community centers. The only time that they chose to focus on this issue was when they thought that it made Donald Trump look bad, when it was something that they could go after him on. It wasn't about concern over these community centers or to raise awareness of what was happening. It was about to make sure that this is another dart that they can throw at the Trump administration to try to continue to push this narrative that he's a racist or he's xenophobic or he's bigoted or, you know, whatever other slanderous term you want to throw on him.
Or he's best friends with Vladimir Putin, which is another whole other topic. Brittany Hughes from the Media Research Center. Brittany, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, good perspective on the war.